Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. I'm Chris from ilather.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about some of the advantages of buying your shave gear from small artisans. And some of these are razor makers, brush makers, soap makers, etc. Let me just start off by saying one of the reasons is you know the people that you're spending your money with cares. And you know it's making a difference. If you buy from someone like Peter Wolf, for example, he's got 5 kids. You're helping put food in the mouths of those 5 kids. You're helping send them off to school. It's not some company with folks you don't know, the workers you don't know. It's Peter Wolf from Wolf Whiskers. Same with Chris Cullen or, Peter Charkalis. You've seen his daughter on the videos. You know that the money is going somewhere where those folks are by and large going to appreciate it. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody appreciates money, but I have found that small artisans by and large really appreciate the money that you spend with them, and it really makes a difference. Also, small artisans are quite nimble. They can generally turn on a dime. They can provide things to you that bigger companies can't or won't provide. Let me show you an example. Sterling Piacenza. This exists only because I sent a sample to Rod and I said, hey, I would love it if you would make Aqua di Parma inspired soap. And within a very short period of time, he made it. Small artisans are generally open to suggestions, and they want to please their customer. Customer satisfaction, generally speaking, is very important. Now, you're not going to have a perfect experience with every artisan. I understand that. But by and large, they care about your business, and they'll go the extra mile to please you. Let me give you some examples going the other way. Trumper, for example. You remember, or some of you may remember if you've been around long enough, the Trumper Eucharist hard soap. Absolutely terrible. Many people reach out to Trumper. Some of them got a refund, but by and large, they did nothing about the problem. They're just a big company. They're happy with the way their product was, and they thought it was great. And that hard soap, I don't know if it has changed since, but it was terrible, the hard soap. The cream is great, but the soap was terrible. And you just can't reach out to those people and get a quick response insofar as them really making changes. A lot of times they're just happy with their product. Let me give you another example. Simpson. Simpsons make some of the finest brushes in the world, Badger brushes. They are phenomenal. I love the handles. I love the way those brushes look. They are legendary in the shaving business. But the synthetic brush, and I got to tell you, I'm going to make a confession here. I couldn't have been more wrong when I bought the Chubby 2 synthetic from Simpson. Early on, I thought it was great, and I used them for a few weeks, and I thought they were really great until I picked up my old Mula Silvertip fiber. And then all of a sudden, I was like, ugh, these aren't so great. I was in love with the handles. I had a Cobalt. I probably had 4 or 5 of them, and they weren't cheap. And I was trying to make it work, all right? I was trying to make it work. And I thought, these aren't so bad. But the problem with these brushes are, and I have one here as an example. This is just a classic one, which is a smaller version. The fiber is too stiff, and it's set too short in the loft. And it doesn't splay well. It doesn't splay well. It is not up to snuff in terms of what I think a lot of synthetic users want. And I know this because after I made those videos, I left them up for a long time, and people would email me and go, hey, you said you loved the Simpsons synthetic and it stinks. Finally, I took them down because I got tired of the people emailing me. So I reached out to Mark Watterson from Simpson last week and said, hey, Mark, is there any chance you'll consider either going with a different fiber or setting it up higher in the loft? Because I would really love to have a Simpson synthetic that I'm proud of. I said, I really love your handles. I mean, I love the work Simpsons do, but I just don't like this fiber because it does not splay well enough. And he sent me a very nice email that basically said, hey, we're getting positive response all over the world on our synthetics. I'm sorry you don't like it. And it was sort of along the lines is, I'm sorry, just you don't like it. Well, I wasn't speaking for me. I was speaking for many people who have complained, and a lot of people who complained at the time when the Chubby came out. And some testers who say they told them that it was set too short, and they set it short anyway. Now, I can't guarantee that that's true, but that's what I was told. And so therefore I'm just repeating what I was told by some testers at the time, that they knew it was short, but this is the way Simpson want it. They think they know best, and they probably do for them, but they don't know for me, an exclusive synthetic user who has been using synthetic for the last couple years nearly exclusively. And he went on to say that people get good results from going back and forth. Well, that's how I lather. I'm a back and forth latherer. I'm not a circular latherer guy, and it still stinks. This brush stinks. The Chubby 2 synthetic from Simpson stinks. Now, they make some of the best badger brushes in the world, but I'm sorry, this brush stinks. There's no way around it. Some people will like it, but the majority of people who have talked to me over the last couple of years, which are a many, when they have purchased one of these, they've said the brush stinks. I got rid of it. I got rid of all 4 or 5 of mine, and I had to take my videos down again because people were complaining. So I reached out to Simpson. I wanted to see if they were interested in, doing something and bringing a great synthetic to the table that I think would be, more representative of their great pedigree of making brushes, and they're just not interested because they think their product is great as is, and it probably is for them. But the folks I talk to, plenty, not fans. And this thing stinks. I'm just going to tell you, I don't recommend that anyone buy a Simpson synthetic brush unless you are looking for a scrubby feeling. Not scritchy, not scratchy, but you want to really dig in there and feel scrub. Because as you can see, it will splay if you put enough force on it. But by the time you do, the brush bottoms out. It's just not a good experience overall. And unless you're really wanting to scrub and exert a lot of force, then I don't recommend this brush. Now, some people like it, and for those, I can't speak for everyone, but for the new folks coming in, this is something to avoid. This is a gong. This is a no-go. And I did reach out and make the effort to try to improve this. Again, some people are going to say, who is he? He's so pompous, he thinks he can tell Simpson what to do. No, I don't. I ask, they're not interested, and I do appreciate the response from Mark. I just, we have a disagreement, and my disagreement is based on the feedback that I've gotten. He says he's gotten very positive feedback. I take him at his word. But this is not the place to go for a synthetic. As far as I'm concerned, if you're looking for a soft, luxurious experience, you got the Black Wolf from Peter Wolf. And the reason I bring this issue up is not to bang on the Simpson brush, but to illustrate the difference in how a small artisan, if I brought this issue up with Peter Wolf, he would be scurrying to fix the issue if he heard it enough times. It wouldn't take more than a handful of times for him to say, maybe I need to look at this. Maybe I need to consider changing something. Not the case with Simpson. You see the difference I'm making? Same thing with Nathan Clark. If there was a problem with this knot and people started saying, hey, this thing, it feels rough, I can guarantee you he would be making a change. And the same thing with other custom brush makers. There's also people like Razor Rock that put out this brush for, 10, 12 bucks. Way better experience than this. Plasan, way better experience than this. Now, again, you're not going to get Plasan to do much for you in terms of if you ask him to change something. It's not going to happen. They're not a small artisan, but the knot itself, to me, has always been superior to this one. And again, the reason I bring this up is to illustrate, you can go to these small artisans, and they are very interested in your feedback to the degree that they will take it seriously in most cases, and if they hear it enough, they'll change it. Not the case with some bigger companies who are more established, like Simpson, although they make a wonderful product. This one is not one of them. This brush for me would be good for me to maybe scrub my razor to get the soap residue off of it, but it's not good for shaving. It's just not a good brush. So there are advantages such as that, their ability to take your feedback and act on it relatively quickly. There's almost no artisan I know that would allow a substandard product to remain without at least addressing it and making some changes, maybe adding a line even. Maybe you can have the scrubby short lofted line and the more luxurious line. There are always options out there, and the small artisans, by and large, are there to try to do the most they can to please you, because your money matters to them. They don't have years of success, excuse me, that they have built on to fall back on. They're not resting on their laurels. They're not resting on the legend of their name. They're trying to make it today. So I invite you to check out some of these small artisans. I invite you to give them feedback. I invite you to try this stuff out and see what you think. My experience has been so good with the majority of the small artisans. Their ability to really react quickly, to try to please their customers, to constantly innovate. I mean, they're constantly banging away at the next new thing. Not only for the financial interest, which is there, let's be honest, but they want to please their customer. And I think that is something to be applauded. And so when I spend my money with these small artisans, it feels good, because I know when I make an order with Peter Charcalis, excuse me, easy for you to say, I know that not only am I buying those products, but I'm making an investment in the future of his business. That money's probably going to be spent, it's going to be turned right around and reinvested in his business to bring us more products. So that's another thing you have to think about when dealing with small artisans. A lot of times they're reinvesting to bring you something new. This isn't the case so much for some of the other companies. Let's face it, Taylor of All Bond Street has great stuff, but they're not banging out new products very often. They'll bring out one here and there, D.R. Harris here and there. They are great, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, there are companies, the small artisans, when you spend your money there, a lot of times it's likely not only to feed the family, but to be reinvested so they can build and get bigger and produce more goods that benefit us all. And that, to me, is a great thing. Also, you can get to know these people. They come to the meetups. They're pretty active in the community. A lot of them do a lot of work with charity. And by and large, I think it's just a great experience. It's like going buying from farmers at your local market, as opposed to going to Walmart and buying produce. It's convenient to do it at Walmart while you're there, but sometimes if you're buying from the local farmers market, you're supporting local folks. It matters to them. Your stuff is fresh. And so these are some of the advantages associated with doing business with small artisans. And sorry for going on rambling on about the Simpson things, but it's probably one of the better examples I can use to illustrate my point. If you want to deal with people who are really listening to you, who are really interested in pleasing you, I don't think you'll do any better than these small artisans. This has been my experience for the last 4 years, and I hope you'll check them out. I'm not going to name a bunch of them for you to check out. Just, do your homework, check them out, and see what you think. Thanks as always for joining me, and until next time, let's help make the entire world shape great once again.